Hi, I'm Catherine Evans discussing informed consent, receiving information from Harrison Kerplus 2014. According to the ACA Code of Ethics, a client has the right to choose to enter into or remain in a counseling relationship. They have a right to receive adequate information in reference to the counseling process as well as that counselor. The counselor has an obligation to provide this information verbally and in writing. There are five important elements to the informed consent, and that's the limits of confidentiality, the potential risk of therapy, the length of the treatment, possible procedures used, and if there will be any alternative methods used to therapy. I reviewed an informed consent online, and it was pretty thorough. It started off telling about the counseling process, and it talked about the counselors would use different methods just depending on the need of the client. And it also told the client to, before signing the consent, to talk to the counselor and try to get the counselor's credentials and get to know a little about the background of that counselor. Then it went on further into confidentiality, also to include the HIPAA regulations, informing that client that in order to release information, a authorization would have to be signed, and just because that person is in court proceedings, if he or she hasn't signed a authorization form, that they are not obligated to give any information to anyone. But it also indicates about having to release to insurance companies diagnosis, possibly, in order for the payments to be received from the insurance company. And also it did advise them that sometimes it would be necessary to consult with other professionals, health professionals, or mental health professionals. The informed consent talked about it did talk about the billing process, and that's like the ACA Code of Ethics. That's part of it, of the informed consent. You should tell them about if they miss an appointment, if there will be a charge to them. One thing in this informed consent that I liked was it did specifically put the other things that they would be required to report if it came up in the counseling, like child abuse, adult abuse, or that client saying they had intentions on causing harm to someone else, and letting them know that this information would have to be reported probably to the intended victim and or to the police. So this actually, it did compare and have mostly everything from the ACA Code of Ethics, what it said it needed in. With the Texas board, the one thing the Texas board says about informed consents, it has to include the Texas board information, the address and the telephone number, so that a client knows they have that right. If there was something wrong, that they could report that to the board, the Texas Board of Ethics, so the client will know they had that right as well. I did. I enjoyed reading over this informed consent, and I believe that it was close to the ACA Code of Ethics. There was just some extras from the Texas State Board. Thank you.